And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim General Manager at WEIU. Today, my guest is Charleston Mayor Dr. Brandon Combs. We're going to be talking about all things Charleston, along with the coronavirus and everything going on. So welcome, Brandon.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
I do appreciate you coming in at the last minute, or coming on, I guess, last minute. We are following social distancing, so Brandon is on the phone today. I appreciate that. Well, I know that you had an emergency city council meeting this morning. Let's start there and talk about what happened and what that means to the community, Brandon.
Well, really, Jeff, what the order that was put in place, we had our ordinance pertaining to the local state of emergency, and we did so because of the governor's proclamation of disaster that he did on March 9th. And then our county has done it, although we do not at this point have any confirmed cases within Coles County. We wanted to go ahead and just be prepared. Really, our declaration, it just gives me, certain essential powers that someone has to take over in case something major does happen. It allows me to set curfews if need be, which I don't see that needing to be the case ever, but because the governor's taking care of all that, it just provides me with opportunity to provide certain expenditures for the purpose of continuing the city's operations. It provides me the authority to approve any new spending, even beyond the current fiscal year. And then it also allows me to temporarily postpone any or all city council meetings, city committee or commission meetings, board meetings, and just other things appropriated, by myself. And then it gives me the order to undertake any such other functions and activities as the mayor responsibly believes are required to protect the health and safety and welfare of the persons within, our community. So basically, it's just set up in case something does happen, because my responsibility, first and foremost, is to make sure that we keep the citizens of Charleston safe as possible. And that's why we chose to go ahead and do this, because we'd much rather be proactive and not ever need these measures compared to not having anything in place and being reactive.
That makes perfect sense. So basically this allows you to get ready in case of anything, or in case this pandemic gets worse. But I guess to make people feel a little bit more comfortable, you're not doing anything as of right now. We're recording this on March 23rd.
No, there is nothing right now. It's just put in place in case something would happen. I took out anything pertaining to like guns or ammunition and alcohol and certain things like that. Right now there's just bigger fish to fry when it comes to making sure that we can keep the city running. And that's the main thing, is to keep the city running, to help our residents and to keep them, like I said, out of harm's way and safe.
So city business is as usual, but how are the offices and things like that going to change or have changed as people need?
All of our city parks, they're open, but we have none of the playground equipment can be open. We have signs, and we have snow fence around every single one of them. If people are out there, they need to maintain the social distance of 6 foot. So if people want to get out and walk around and get exercise, just get out of the house, that's totally fine. But understand that there's nothing that they can do on the playground equipment due to spread. We've closed all public bathrooms within the city, because we just can't keep up cleaning with it the way that we should, and we don't know who's using it, or we don't want the spread to happen that way. All city buildings and facilities are going to be closed. You can still come into the front of City Hall, but there's a phone there that you can use to make calls. our planning department and our department that does inspections and things like that, they are known, or they have gotten it out there to anybody that has inspections or anything that needs to be checked on. Our guys will meet them wherever on site, and we're encouraging people to use our drive-up service if they have any questions or need to drop off any payments or, anything like that. So we're just doing everything we can do to limit the exposure to our employees so that, once again, we can keep the day-to-day functions, the day-to-day functions of the city going.
Will city workers still be working on streets and sidewalks and such, or are they going to be housed until like an emergency happens or something?
As of right now, all that stuff is continue. I mean, that's still going on. I mean, even the state's out working on Lincoln right now, preparing for the resurfacing project. So, they'll still be working on streets and sidewalks and infrastructure and things of that nature. None of that stuff will halt. Our water department, wastewater treatment plant, and our water facility, all that's going to remain open. Any vendors or anybody that usually needs to stop by, the doors are going to be locked, and they need to, leave things at the door or speak to somebody over the phone. Like I said, we're just doing this just to limit the exposure because, as we know, or not everyone knows, but I had at the meeting today Dr. Bernie Ranchero, who is the head medical director for Coles County Health Department, and then Sheila Simons, who is the head epidemiologist. And, Sheila stressed how 80%, and I've said this at my last two meetings, 80% of the people that have the virus don't know it because they have absolutely no symptoms or just mild symptoms, but yet they can still affect up to 5 or 6 people without ever knowing that they did. And, that number can grow exponentially. I mean, you can take a look at these other countries and, people not knowing that they're infected with it or never even get sick are still infecting people. And our big fear is the people in their 80s, I mean, that group right there. I mean, we're looking at 18% death rate in people 80 years or older. And so, we just need to limit the exposure to get this curve to go down and, just to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep people safe.
There you go. The shelter-in-place thing put down by Governor Pritzker is intended to do exactly what you just said. Do you think people are following it? And then what is the actual response from the city and the police if they see somebody that's out that they don't think should be out at this time?
Well, that's really difficult to say. I hope people are. I know the city manager and myself and fire chief and police chief, we took rides around ourselves on individually on Saturday and Sunday, and for the most part, there just wasn't a lot of people out. But when it comes to, just pulling people over just to ask them what they're doing, that's not something that our police is going to be doing right now. I mean, like I said, there's just a lot of other things that we have to be concerned with, and that's not something that's been told. Even the governor said in his conference on Friday, that's not something that we want to have to resort to where our police are having to police this. So, they're just making recommendations that people stay at home, but if at all necessary. And we're doing the same thing. We just want people to stay at home unless they definitely need to get out. I've encouraged the citizens of Charleston, check in on your elderly neighbors, your friends, family, that can't get out or they're immunocompromised or whatever else, to take them the things that they may need, because we don't want them to be exposed. But yeah, our officers aren't going to be pulling over anybody and everybody and saying, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Because really we're just expecting people to listen, take heed to it, and only get out for the things that are deemed necessary.
Have you spoken to Dr. Glassman about his action plan and how the community is supporting that?
Yes, I have talked to him multiple times, And I was fielding a lot of calls and emails about that, worried about, students, because they saw all over the news, students on spring break and everything like that, and they were extremely concerned. And I know that was a tough decision for President Glassman, but at the same time, he's working well with myself and the Coles County Health Department and the Illinois Department of Public Health to make sure that they do everything they can to mitigate the spread of the virus too that someone could have. So, I commend him for what he's done. Like I said, I know it was a tough decision, but he's still thinking of the welfare and the safety of not only Eastern Illinois' workers and people, but also the residents of the city, and I sincerely appreciate that.
What do you tell citizens of Charleston who come up to you and ask you or tell you that they're somewhat scared and they're concerned? How does Dr. Combs or Mayor Combs in this case handle that situation?
Well, if someone, first thing is I just don't panic. I mean, there is a lot of fear. There is a lot of stuff that's going around and rumors that are going around, and I try to just, any rumors that are going around that someone's asking me, I obviously, want to dispel those rumors. But for the ones that are scared, I just let them know that, hey, we're working diligently. We're doing everything we can to stop keep people safe, stop the spread. I'm in constant contact with the governor's office, with the Illinois Department of Public Health. Charleston, ourselves, we have had meetings with all of our directors. We started that last week, twice a day, to make sure that everyone's prepared. We have our emergency operations plan ready to go. So yeah, there's going to be some fear about this, and that's understandable, and it's hard. I can't really reassure anybody not to be scared, but I just want them to know that we have most definitely done everything in our power to be ready for this. If it does come to something, now there's always going to be challenges that are going to be popping up, and we don't know what those are. But from our standpoint, we have put in place everything possible that we can to make sure that we're going to keep our citizens as safe as possible.
As we've been working here at WEIU this morning, I have not got a chance to check. Did the Mattoon City Council do the same thing as the Charleston City Council with these?
They did. Their some of their verbiage and stuff, from my understanding, is different than ours. I mean, I can't speak as to why or anything like that. But I just chose, working with our legal team, the ones that I felt were most pertinent into this type of situation.
Okay, good. Well, you're my source on that, so thank you, Brandon. We appreciate you checking in. How long will this emergency? How long does it go in effect for? From the basis of the meetings?
It's until I call another emergency meeting to stop it because we no longer need it, or our next council meeting. It'll end unless we extend it. And I do not see us ending it until we start to see a curve, that curve starts to change and go down.
Makes sense. There was a rumor about fishing at Lake Charleston and some fishing stuff going around today. I know that's not that important, but what I can hear is if it's a pond or a lake that is open to the public, they can fish. There's just no services. Is that correct? From what you understood?
Yeah, I mean, people can still go out there. I mean, we had people call on Friday and ask, and as of right now, people can still go out there and fish and walk around and everything. Once again, we're just asking people to abide by the 6-foot social distancing at all possible.
You had mentioned in a couple of questions ago that you're really trying to alleviate some of these rumors going around. Anything else out there that's been going around that you want to address today? We're talking to Mayor Combs about Charleston, maybe some rumors that are untrue that you could that alleviate even further.
I mean, just one that, our officers aren't pulling people over. I had several text messages last night, people asking me, hey, I got to get out and go to the post office and stuff. Am I going to be pulled over? How do I? And I was like, you're not going to get pulled over unless you have headlights out, or there's a legitimate reason to be pulled over. I've heard rumors that we are going to shut down our water plant so there won't be drinkable water. That's not the case. That's not the case at all.
I think by federal law that would be illegal, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. I mean, we can't do things like that. And really, I haven't heard too many other crazy rumors that I need to dispel. It's just basically use common sense. I mean, wash your hands and things. And the hardest thing for me, Jeff, is this: I worry about our businesses, our business community. Obviously, I'm a small business owner as well. I have my chiropractic office in the spa. Well, I have the order right here in front of me, and it says, when it talks about things that need to be closed down, one of those things is our spas. So, nail salon, hair salon, spa, all that stuff. I had to close down. I have five women that work for me,
yeah.
And all of a sudden now I have to tell them, hey, for the next 2.5 weeks, you can't work. So I'm concerned. Or my heart goes out to all the business owners. I can keep the chiropractic portion open, but it's going to be nothing like it normally is on a day-to-day basis, and all the precautions that I have to take. And it's not just it's affecting us all. And I'm thankful for some of the resources that they have given out for local businesses, through the state of Illinois and the federal government, because I think I read a statistic that 90% or more of our businesses are considered small businesses within the United States, and this is going to crush a lot of people, and we need to make sure that they have the ability to stay afloat or pay their employees if at all possible, or have them work from home if at all possible. Just do whatever we can to stop the spread. But my heart does go out to anybody that's had to close their doors. I hate it. There is a lot of there's a lot of question as to what's essential and what's not. And
you read my mind. That's why
I called my contact at the governor's office personally after his press conference on Friday, and spoke with them. And really, it's so broad. Once again, I have this document in front of me. I don't even know how many pages this thing is that spells out, essential and non-essential. And there's so many loopholes or so many gaps, and it's really hard to tell as to which ones are and which ones aren't. There are some that are completely spelled out, and there's others that aren't. And this morning, I received an email from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity that says identifies the following businesses as essential operations. And I'm not going to sit here and read them all to you, but things such as gas stations, they're going to remain open. Banks, most banks that I know of are just using drive-through things. Hardware stores can, plumbers, electricians. If you're having a plumbing issue, you can still call your plumber. Essential food things are going to stay open. Essential government, healthcare providers are going to be able to stay open. Laundry services can stay open. Mail and shipping, things like that. Restaurant for off-premises, delivery or pickup. Things like that. They're able to stay open. There's more on that list, but just the big ones that people have asked me about. That's those are the ones that are going to be able to stay and remain open.
A little bit of confusion about this essential and non-essential. Do people need to keep this letter with them? If they do happen to get pulled over, maybe on a county road, state road, even a Coles County road, or what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't think so. Because like this is a letter that I got as a mayor, and most of these things we are putting out on our website so that people can see, and so is our Coles County Health Department. They're putting out the what's essential and what's non-essential. But it's just such a big and broad thing, and I've had people ask me about notes because I got a call yesterday from someone who was in Springfield, and one of their workers they live here in Charleston, but one of their workers was heading in to do something and got pulled over, and the cop gave them a ticket and said, hey, we need a note saying that you are out because of this. That's the only known incident that I know of, where they said they needed a note. But in no way did the governor ever say that you need to carry around a note with you as to what's essential and what's non-essential.
Okay.
It's just a tough thing.
What about courts? Is Coles County Courthouse, are they still going to have trials and everything like that? Does that stay open?
They released a statement. I do not have it in front of me, so I'm not for sure 100% how they're going to proceed. I'm sorry, I can't answer for the county. But I know they've set some guidelines, and I have it printed out somewhere, but I've got 1,000 things on my desk, Jeff. So.
Now, I get to ask you a question from the doctor's standpoint. Do you think there is a cure down the road with all the and things like that? And then conversely, what about people who think they need testing? At what point do they really need testing, and go into some of the doctor point of view?
All right. So I think eventually, yes, they're going to have something. I know people are working on it like crazy. And eventually they're going to have something. They'll come out with something. But, I'm hearing timelines such as if they do get something approved and it goes through the FDA and after testing and everything, we could be looking at 8 months for that. So you just don't know. Now, every person with a cough or a sniffle or sneezing or something like that and they don't feel well, first off, I'm going to tell you, if you feel that way, just stay home. Does that mean that you need to be tested? No, not. And I'm taking this. I'm looking directly from Sarah Bush and from what Dr. Ranchero has said, who once again I said is the public health director of the Coles County Health Department. Don't just run out and demand a test. Tests are limited, and if you don't feel good, just stay home. Most likely you're going to have mild symptoms and it's going to run its course. But Sarah Bush does have a hotline that you can call, and I'm looking for that number. I think it was put out, and
it's been out. Yeah,
it's been out. So call that hotline. Let them know what you're experiencing, and then or call your healthcare provider. Let them know what you're experiencing, and then they'll let you know if you need to come in or not. Because one, if you don't have it and you go there and you demand a test, and they give you a test, and it comes back and you just basically have a common cold. You just wasted a test that someone else that is severely sick may need. So that's why they're trying to put that in place. Plus, Sarah Bush and Carl and stuff, they're loaded up. They're loaded up with people with bad flus and amongst many other things. And so not only are you exposing yourself, but you potentially are exposing many other people if you are infected.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Very well and very well said, Mayor Combs. The other thing that I guess is concerning everybody, and it's really comes down to a manufacturing gloves, gowns, ventilators, and masks, and all this stuff. It seems like everybody wants to blame the Republicans or the Democrats or Pritzker or Trump or Brandon Combs, but when it comes down to it, the United States needs to increase its manufacturing of these things and get them shipped out. Do you agree with me, or what do you think about a statement like that?
I think this goes way beyond politics. I don't go on one side or the other in all this, because people can point fingers all day. Bottom line is we have a large number of people within the United States getting infected. And do I think that ramping up production of this stuff is important? Heck yes, I do. And I know that there are companies that don't even normally produce this type of stuff that are producing it. No one could have predicted this. No one saw this coming. It goes all the way down to toilet paper. Literally, who would have thought that there might be a toilet paper shortage? And that's what happens when there's mass panic, is everyone goes out and hoards all these supplies. But if you stay at home, you don't need all those supplies. And I know from listening to the governor's talks that I have with him, that he talks to the mayors twice a week, and the governor's office. He's put in demands, and so is the president. Anybody that's making this stuff or has the ability to do it, let's ramp this stuff up. Let's get it out. Let's get it out to the people. Let's get it out to especially our first responders. These people are putting themselves on the line, and their families. If they come in contact with this and they go home, it's extremely important to have this PPE, this personal protective equipment. And I think that we're going to see production of this stuff go up. And then as this goes away, then we're going to have a surplus of all this stuff. But at the same time, I think, and from what I've understood, from my understanding, is that they're getting on top of this as quickly and putting things out as quickly as they can.
Okay. A couple of minutes left. We're talking to Mayor Brandon Combs about the coronavirus pandemic and all the stuff. Why don't you recap real quickly in about a minute the emergency meeting this morning again for people maybe just tuning in late, what happened this morning here in Charleston for the City Council?
So, yes, we passed our local state of emergency, declaring a local state of an emergency. And just in a nutshell, what ours says, amongst I'm not going to read it all, but it pretty much just gives myself, the mayor, the authority to authorize certain expenditures, authorize previously approved expenditures or unforeseen ones, to make sure that the city can continue to operate the way that it should. I have the authority to set certain curfews if I would find it necessary in relation to any type of emergency outbreak or anything like that, which I don't see that ever really needing to happen. In the event of this local state of emergency, I can authorize expenditures beyond our current fiscal year, once again, to make sure that our city continues to run and keep the citizens going with everything that they need.
Okay, I'm sorry I got to interrupt you there. We're about out of time. Brandon, I appreciate you calling in so much today and letting us know what's going on in Charleston. We appreciate it so much, and whatever you need, we're here for you as well, my friend.
All right, well, I appreciate it, Jeff, and you take care and be safe.
All right, everybody, this is WEIU.